Hey everyone. So I wanted to kind of remake my like MGTOW red pill video because well, I don't know why. I think I can make it kind of shorter and more succinct because it was also about like yeah, anyway. So this one is just why are red pillars? And I can kind of I would say that I was like I wasn't a red pillar when I was from like 23 to 26. I wasn't a red pillar, but I was sympathetic to their feelings, just not there. I thought that I just thought that there were better ways to go to deal with it. But so I can kind of understand as like, oh, and then in high school, see, in high school, red pill didn't exist yet. But I was a hardcore red pillar in high school for like 1 year, but I didn't know. So I snapped out of it as soon as a girl was nice to me, basically. So, yeah, so why are red pillars? Well, first of all, okay, there's internet communities of like minded individuals, okay? First of all, because I can tell you for sure, for a fact, that if I had known about Incel and Red Pill and MGTOW back then, I would have been like, I would have stayed in it a lot longer than I would have otherwise, I think. So basically, it's that once you have this cynical view of the gender war or the sexual marketplace, or, and by gender war, I mean, well, I guess like the sexual partner war, you know? Like, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, something in between, gender fluid, um, or, like non binary or anything like that. Just the way that it all works is sort of put into this very, very cynical context, pseudo evolutionary context. So, with that, basically, what are incels? I mean, I feel like MGTOW are sort of incels who can get laid if they try sometimes, like just with like just on like Tinder or something. And then red pillars are the ones who actively try to get better at that game, like that Tinder game almost, basically. And the fundamental problem is that they struggle to just make a single, like just person to person human connection with a girl who they like without being, without feeling friend zoned. And what happened to me in high school was I was very in love with a cute girl who I really liked from freshman year. And we talked all the time. We were really close friends. And I mean, I was what red pillars would describe as an orbiter, but not really because it wasn't like the only thing I wanted. And I don't think for orbiters it is either. That's more just a creep. Like, if you're only being friends with the girl who you like, only to try to, like hit and quit, then that's kind of like, that's different. But I was more like hopeful, right? It's like, yeah, sure, like being friends is cool, but I hope that we were more. And then, of course, like she dated another guy, and it was sort of like but the guy that she dated like barely knew her or cared about her, right? It's like a football player, grade up or something. And so I was all like, wow, like I just thought that the lesson was to just be a jock and date younger girls or something. And I was like, wow, nice guys finish last. That's cool. I wasn't really a nice guy, but I was at least a humanizing. Like, I had at least humanized and was friends. You don't have to be that. You can be a person. I'm not perfect, but I was always open about the mistakes I made. Like, hey, like, you know, I know that I kind of said something off the cuff about the way that, you know, like, you know, maybe just something dumb about like one of her friends, like, oh wow, like she only wore eyeshadow on one eye today, just stuff like that, you know. So it's hard to trust a girl again after that. And I didn't. The only thing that happened to me was I didn't know anyone else who had the same cynical mentality, and so everyone told me, don't worry about it and just find another girl who's not like that. Wow, okay. And then actually, one of my friends told me, I think it was, no, I don't remember which friend it was, but he said that you'll probably end up getting with her anyway. And then I did for like a summer in college. And I was just like, wow, that's, you know, the problem is, everybody, that when you're young, everyone's looking for different things, and nobody knows themselves well enough to even know what they want. So people are just kind of doing whatever. And what she told me, this girl that I liked in high school, she told me that the reason why is because, you know, when you're 14, 15, you don't want anything that's like too crazy. So she was with a guy who she didn't have much emotional attachment to, so that she didn't have to combine it and get all attached. So she was like already thinking like how I thought when I was 20, you know, because there's kind of that mismatch between guys and girls earlier. Like women mature fast. Girls turn into women faster than boys turn into men. So yeah, there's that element. And then what happened was there was this girl who had a boyfriend, and he was like he was like one of the party guys in the higher grades, like one of the cool guys. And I never thought that I was like one of the cool guys, because, you know, I was just like with the nerds all the time. But I was chill in class and stuff, I guess. And so she just treated me like a friend right away. You know, she just was like, hey, Logan, like what's up? And like asking me how my day was and stuff. And then we started talking a lot. And then I didn't even know who her boyfriend was until she told me, and it was a guy who was in my creative writing class who sat next to me. So that's probably how she like heard my name, because I had made friends with her boyfriend and then didn't even know. And then I was still really, you know, I was just like cool with both of them. And so that was like my in crowd, my inroad into like kind of like cooler people who were either not uptight or not like completely chauvinistic, kind of like the guys from 21 Jump Street, if you know what I mean. And then I kind of felt like, oh, like, it's not that I'm uncool, it's just that I kind of put myself in a box, like my own mental box, where it's like, well, I'm not one of those people. So most of it is just trying to find cool people, and they are out there. Most people are cool, they're just on guard all the time. So yeah, like I ended up she would invite me to a couple parties, and I became the cool guy in my friend group because I would know where like all the parties were. And then I would meet some of her friends, and her friends immediately liked me, right? Like, because so my main piece of advice to red pillars and incels that I see every single one of them make, every single one I've ever known, as soon as they feel friend zoned, they just never talk to the girl again. Or the woman again. You'll never win like that. You just can't, because women don't like people like that. I mean, I don't really either, you know? Like, I wouldn't want to be friends with them, at least if I was a woman, of course. So you have to learn how to just let your guard down and be chill. And some girls are going to be mean, especially in high school, but that's because they're working on their own insecurities. And as you get older, you'll meet more and more people who just accept you for who you are. And it doesn't really matter what you look like too much after, like, especially once you're older. So, you know, if you're like a nerd, I would recommend maybe like joining band class or something. There's a ton of girls in band, and they're all cool. Like even you know, like junior high, senior year, could be like a cool way for like a socially awkward person to find their way into like a social group and stuff like that. So don't if you go on incel forums, here's what I want you to realize about the incels. Is that they started with a premise or assumption that's like sort of like there's like they might have been like treated a little bit unfairly at one point, and then they've taken that and made it their prison by making it seem like saying the whole world's like that. Now for red pillars, if it's just a phase you're going through, okay, but there's no need to be so manipulative, trust me. If you just tell a girl, yo, like I was reading all that red pill shit and I thought it was kind of funny, like because it's like I've always this is what I said about it to the first woman I got a date with after I started doing the red pilling stuff when I was 25. I was like really into red pill, but not really. I just believe that their strat worked for younger people or for certain subgroups of culture, and so I was interested in it because it's like, man, this is what, if I did this in high school, it would have worked, but it's not, like I said, just join band class. But anyway, what I told her was, I was like, yeah, like, I've been reading all this red pill stuff, and it's funny because I've always kind of tried to give off those same vibes because I felt like, because I didn't want to be the smallest man in the room or like the softest guy in the room, so I tried to give off those like macho vibes without going all the way with the manipulation, and then like trying to be friends with the girl after, with the woman after, and then we like just like talked about it for a while because it was funny and interesting. That's what you want to try to do. It's like, who cares? Like, make fun of the fact that, yeah, like I was a red pillar before I realized like how it was just like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and like it's funny, and then if someone is like, if someone judges, like, lest they be judged. If they judge you, then you're free to judge them as an asshole or a douche and walk away. Like, if they cast the first stone, you're just trying to be chill and have a funny conversation, and then they put you down, just leave. That's what I do. And it's only happened like twice out of like, it's only happened like twice out of probably like a dozen or so like actual, like, okay, like out of like a dozen serious potential relationship dates from online, it's only happened twice where the person was like really condescending, and it was pretty obvious that they were very unhappy people. So for a song that summarizes this episode, you can listen to Peace to All Freaks by Of Montreal. But it's kind of a weird, a lot of people don't like the taste, like the music taste, but the lyrics, like you can look up the lyrics and it's kind of funny because you just have to embrace the fact that you're kind of messed up from, maybe you have some like weird views, or maybe you grew up like chauvinistic, and you just kind of embrace that and try to be like, well, that was the past a little bit, and your end goal should just be to be a cool guy to women who is a little bit, who's just like himself but unapologetically, but also you have to be unapologetic about some of your features, but then also make fun of yourself, and also change some of the features that hurt other people or make other people or belittle other people. So, like I can tell a quick story about I'll tell a quick story that kind of explains and puts all this into context, okay? So, I was at a hostel in the Czech Republic, and there wasn't much going on, like in Prague, because I went to Europe for 2 months just solo, like right before almost a little bit, like a year before the pandemic, because I had already, just like for some savings, and I was in between jobs, so I was like, okay, might as well. And, it was like the cheapest hostels, right? The ones that are like $10 a night. And the first one didn't have that much going on. So I moved to this hippie one of the coolest hostels ever. And it was only girls. Like, it was like 3 guys and like 11 young women. So I was just like, okay, like now I'm in the deep end, because the other hostel was the other way around. And then I go to this one, and it's like, I was very into, like, it was so funny because I had already had um, I'd already gone on like, I'd already like met at night and then like hooked up with and then gone and visited the city the day after with like a couple young ladies at that point. But and by young I mean my age. I was 20, 25. Yeah, yeah, 25. And so when I went to this hostel, it was like all girls, and I was just like, oh man. And like in my head, I think of them as girls, but I say women to not, because it's like, you don't want to. You have to remember that they're not like. The only reason is because the exact historical thing that happened to women was them being treated like children, in regards like something in between a child and a man. And so when you say girl or señorita or whatever, it's like that. So, but I can't get it out of my head. So sometimes I say girl, other times I say woman when I'm like consciously thinking about it. But anyway, I felt like I was in the deep end because all of a sudden it was like, "Hey, do you want to like come out, like go out with us tonight?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." Like, and they said like with some of our friends, okay? So it was two girls. This happened to me twice. It happened to me in San Sebastian, and then it happened to me in Prague. It was two young women, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to go out with us and like a friend or two of ours that from the hostel?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." And most of the time, that's another guy or like their friend group with other guys in it. But this time, and that time in San Sebastian, it was 6 other girls and then me. Okay, now I'm just like, oh geez, okay, like I'm nervous, And it's good to put yourself in those situations because you realize that they're just people the same, and then they have different social behaviors, but only when they're like in that social role. Like when, dude, we were all strangers. You want some of the ladies I met? Okay, the ones that I remember like 5 of their faces, but only like I think 2 or 3 backstories. One, it was funny. One of them was Australian from I think Sydney, and then the other one was a Californian like me, who I found to be the most interesting one because she grew up in like the boonies of California, and then was like, she had actually gotten engaged to some guy to like live out at like 18 to like live the more traditional lifestyle, and she just like ditched it. She just like ran away almost, and she was in Prague, and then she was gonna go to Australia because Australia has that one payment program, so it was just like ironic because here's an Australian, and then here's someone who is like Australia is like their place that they're gonna go to get away. And then there were some others too, but the point is that, like, I said in my first video that if you just have to not really care about hooking up that much, and then it'll be easier, but you also won't care as much. So it's kind of like, yeah, but you're still way better off because if you do, here's the thing, it's like, it makes it so that it's like, I wasn't even thinking about hooking up with them because if it's 2 to 1, then yeah, I'll go for like, yeah, then I'll just try to seduce both. But if it's more than 2, no way, man. I am scared. I'm scared. Nervous. Like, I don't want to be scorned upon or like, oh wow, like the guy was pretty weird, wasn't he? Or creepy or whatever. So yeah, we were just like playing, the first thing was Never Have I Ever. Me and six young ladies who I don't know, total strangers. And I was expecting there to be at least another guy. No, never have I ever. Oh God. So it went as you would expect it. We were all getting wasted. We were all getting wasted in this hostel. We were playing music and stuff. It was awesome. We went down, we went around Prague for a little bit, and then we met, one of the ladies had met these 2 other American guys on Tinder, like Tinder Prague, and so they were like more like actually like trying to hook up with them, whereas I was already dating another lady at the time, and so I was kind of like open, like, you know, we weren't like committed, but I wasn't interested really. And so I was like chill to hang out with those guys, and I was glad that there was at least like some guys around. So then it was like 9 of us now, like me, those 3 guys, me, those 2 other dudes from Tinder, and then the 6 ladies, and we we went to this bar. That we went to a lot of bars, but we went to one bar, guys. I'll tell you like a white knight story, I guess, but I didn't even think of it as white knighting. Jeez, this guy groped one of the girls in our group who I didn't know. Like the one who I had talked to the least. I talked to the Californian one who was going to Australia like pretty much the whole night. And then I didn't talk to this one, but this tourist guy, he was like a Canadian or something. Actually groped her, and I saw it for the first time. I saw a guy actually grope a girl's rear end while she was like getting something off the floor or something, and then like walk away. And like I ain't no white knight, or I didn't want to be, but like, you know, like that guy was like, as he was probably like 180 and I'm 165. Like I didn't, it's like, dude, he's not gonna. And another one of the guys in the group saw it too, so I looked at him. I just looked over. I'm like, did you fucking see that? And he's like, yeah. And it was just like, okay. So we just both go. We both go. I grab the guy by the shirt collar. We pull him down on the ground, and we just start stomping him. It was pretty brutal, but I was so mad. And then, you know, everyone pushes us off after we stomped them a little bit. And then the guys from the security guys had also, like, you know, they were like, oh yeah, like that guy was a creep who had done that like once before or something, and like they basically believed the story, and so they just let us go without calling the Czech police for like assault, because it's like, dude, you want assault? You just sexually assaulted, so they just let us go. But the other people still wanted to keep partying, except for the lady who got groped and me, because I had just freaking adrenaline dumped all my energy on that guy. Okay, so. And I felt really good, guys. I was really happy when one of the lady was like, I don't want to go out anymore. I just want to go back to the hostel. And then I said, yeah, so do I. And I remember one of the girl who we were talking to, she looked me in the eyes, and then she just kind of like nodded and looked over, and she said, like, just go with Logan and he'll keep you safe. Just go with him, and he'll take you back. And I was like, wow, like, I didn't mean to be a white knight. I just wanted an excuse to go on that guy, because I thought he was an asshole, and I thought it was fun. But whatever, you know. So, yeah, you know, like, I could have, I'm sure that the next day or something, or 2 days later, like, I could have gotten her number and been, but I already had another girl who I had gotten attached to by that time. So yeah, like, that's kind of how I am, and that's kind of how, like, red pillars are a little bit more into the gamified version, and they try to win that side. And I would just say to don't put up, at some point, guys, if you're a red pillar, just try putting down the barrier for a second. I know it's like, she's not yours, it's just your turn. Okay, it's just her turn too, you know, but you don't have to you don't have to put up a wall. It doesn't matter. What can they do to you? And the only reason why I could do this in hostels, except for America, is because I have horrible social anxiety. But when I was traveling in Europe, if I screwed up with those girls and made them think I'm awkward, I would just go to another hostel the next day and never see any of them again. And that made me so much chiller. That's the attitude you want to have. That you just, it's like, well, like, if I say something dumb, I'm sorry. And then things are sort of just as awkward as you make it, sort of. But I still do say a lot of dumb things. God, I say dumb things. Just socially awkward things where, like, I'm trying to make a joke, but I say it wrong. Like, where I'm kind of like, oh yeah, like, whatever your name is, we just need to win this game. Because, like, I'm trying to be funny, but then it's like, oh, I guess this has gotten too long. I think it's a good follow-up, kind of like a better version of the Red Pill episode with a little bit more personal stories in it. Prague's fun. Prague's awesome. Go in autumn, though. Don't go in spring when the tourists are there. Go in the autumn. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And all I would do is just walk through the forest every day and then hit on girls at night. That's all I would do. And it was awesome. So, yeah.